Wetsuit materials come in sheets, and when they're generally cut with multiple sheets at a time. As it gets, what you do is you stack them up, and you have your top layer with the pattern drawn on it. The cutting knife that we use is a razor edge, similar to a jigsaw, where it vibrates up and down and cuts through the layers of neoprene very easily. As you can see with the cutter there, he has a stainless steel safety glove on there. Now, once the suits are cut in stacks, we keep them in their original stacks, and for a glued and blind stitch seam, which is your sealed seam, it actually gets glued twice. The first gluing is done as a stack, as you can see there, with multiple layers. Then we do another layer of glue, which the first layer seals the open cells that are in the neoprene, and then the second layer is actually your strength glue, which needs to be done individually. After the glue is applied, now we press the two sides together, being careful to have the levels from one side to the other match perfectly. And then as you go along on the different seams, the important part is to match these notches, as you see, which creates the shape. One side of the seam would be shorter or longer than the other, which gives the contoured, for example, a knee. From this point, we have to press it together harder than what you can do by hand, and that is used a machine called an air nipper. The air nipper gives its final pressure because the seam has to be under pressure in order for it to bind well. From that point, we go with a machine that's called a blind stitch machine. What this is the needle, as you can see, is a curved needle, loops around the seam. However, it only goes about 25% of the depth of the neoprene, so it doesn't break the seal that's created by two sides of the pattern glued together. This machine now is a high-speed machine, and as it goes through the machine, it pushes the seam up, enables that hook needle to pinch it just a little bit, as you can see how fast it goes. So the operator has to really pay attention and have the experience to be able to sew it without going too deep. As you can see, this is the stitch in slow motion. The needle does not go straight through the material. It just pinches that material up, keeping the lower part of the seam still intact, creating without losing that seal, because water will go through those holes. Now from this point, there's a variety of different types of seals that you put on. People put liquid seam, you put tape that goes over it to ensure that that seam has additional strength and also doesn't leak. The other type of seam that we have is a flat lock seam. A flat lock seam is generally in your lighter weight spring suits, tops, and sometimes your lower priced full suits, no more than a 3/2. It's actually 7 threads that are done, 4 that go through the needle, 2 generally are on top. As you can see, that neoprene there is overlapped, so there's no sealing done on that. So now you can see the 4 needles going down, and there's an upper looper that's going, that swing arm going back and forth, that's actually covering that raw edge of the neoprene, as you see coming out of the back of the machine. This is just a closer up view to see the action of the machine. Now this type of machine will actually rotate about 1,750 cycles per minute. So it's a very fast machine. There you can see how that upper looper covered the raw edge of the material.